Yeah. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stochastic.com NBA Deeper Dive presented by Sleeper. Sleeper's on the come up, man. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. Game 1, NBA Finals, and who would have thought the Miami Heat traveling to Denver to take on the Nuggets, who have been off for like 17 months now, just waiting to see who their opponent is. The Heat last played on Monday. Huge minutes, very interesting series. They're 8.5-point dogs today, 219 total. Big dogs in the series. Nikola Jokic minus 320 to win the MVP. Next closest is Butler at plus 320. But if you look at the price points tonight between Nikola Jokic and Jimmy Butler, you'd think they were both even money to win the MVP going into this one. Adam, what's up, dude?
Absolute insanity on that.
What is going on with that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Jimmy Butler's mom's doing the pricing. A Miami Heat homer's doing the pricing. I don't really know.
Who was the reporter that Jimmy Butler?
Rachel Nichols.
Yeah. Actually, she probably priced him at 1,000.
Right.
It's a fun question, because I can do some throwbacks on this, and happy to have you guys with us as always. We got 400. Can we just get to 100 likes straight out of the gate? Atone for your sins. Take a second, hit that thumbs up, wash yourselves clean of that filth, that residue, that slimy. Once you hit that thumbs up, you'll be clean. A weight will be lifted off your shoulders, and you'll have a great rest of the day. But none of that is true. But if you hit the thumbs up, it does a lot for us, and we appreciate you. Also, subscribe to the channel. The worst salary that you've seen. Now, we could talk about Kyle Korver. I remember, though, back in the day, Larry Sanders. Remember the block parties that we saw with Larry Sanders? For 2 straight weeks, he was minimum salary, playing starter minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the pricing. I remember the blocks.
Yeah, well, 2 straight weeks, he was minimum salary in that same stretch of games. What's the worst price point you can remember? Like, it's got to be Korver, right?
Korver?
Wasn't it Kyle Korver that was like 10K?
Oh, no, it was Kevin Huerter.
Oh, Huerter. Right. Same thing.
Yeah, I was thinking on the low end. Yeah, I was thinking on the low end, and I was like, I don't know. There's a lot of them, but yeah, the Kevin Huerter one was really bad. This is, I guess, kind of comparable to that. And Kevin Huerter smashed, so I guess just jam in Jimmy.
He did have a big game, right? But it's still, hold on. It wouldn't have come close to paying off that salary if my memory serves me correctly.
I don't remember what he did. Like, yeah, he had a big game, but I don't think it was $9,500 big.
Yeah, I tell you what, this pricing, and we're almost at 100 likes. I knew you guys would help out here. Appreciate it. 97 already. I was talking to Josh this morning on the strategy show and looked at it, and I'm thinking, all right, how do you come up with something? Like, I don't even know if Jimmy's too cheap or too expensive. I think Jokic is probably just absurdly too cheap. Either way, you're talking about 2 guys in the post. Jokic is averaging in the postseason 17 more fantasy points than Jimmy Butler. Like,
Jimmy Butler should be priced around Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, quote unquote, carried his team to the finals and still was less productive than Jamal Murray last series.
And yeah, right.
Obviously different matchups. I get it, but
I mean, the real question is, how do you get to Jimmy Butler? Any lineup that you see that has Jimmy Butler in the captain spot, you're just going to want to auto swap to Jokic. He needs to not only do better than Nikola Jokic, like outperform him as far as raw fantasy points go, but then also has to outperform everybody else comparative to price point.
Right. The case for getting to Jimmy Butler would be, it's so obviously ridiculous that he is priced this, about the same as Jokic, that he's going to be way lower owned. But the thing is, he's just not going to be low enough owned. Probably. You're not talking, a gap of a few points. You're talking like a 15-point. We have Jokic projected 16 DraftKings points higher than Butler. So you just need an absolutely massive ownership gap, and you're just probably not going to get it. We have Butler 10% owned at captain. We have Jokic 25%. There's no way it should only be a 2.5 to 1 gap. If you're able to allocate only 35% ownership to those two combined, it should probably just be 35% Jokic.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I looked at it earlier when we had our ownership projections, and Butler was like 11.7 at captain. So he has come down, but not enough. Butler's down to 10.3. I really thought he'd be even less than this at that price. He's $600 less than Jokic in the utility, $900 less than Jokic at captain. How do you justify it?
I can't.
You can't. And not to mention, you get Jamal Murray for significantly less money if you wanted to just play him anywhere.
Right.
It's really tough to get to, but glad to have you guys with us. We got a fun game. I mean, yeah, Denver should come in and take care of business here, but listen, and yeah, look, I do think this is different. Denver deserves to be here. They've been the best team. They've been the best really in the regular season too, particularly at home. This team was unstoppable, but we all thought that Boston was going to take care of business against Miami, and they did. Miami took a 3-0 lead, blew a 3-0 lead, and then came in. Say whatever you want about Jason Tatum, but Boston was terrible in that last game. And here's Miami. Do you think, obviously, like, you could look at the odds and go, yeah, I think that Denver is clearly the team that should win this handily. But do you think there's a way, and if you do, how would they do it, that Miami can keep this competitive?
I mean, the way they keep it competitive is they shoot 50% from three again.
Yeah.
That's the answer. I mean, it's really, really tough. That's not saying that they win if they do that, but it'll at least be competitive. Like, you're not blowing out a team that shoots 50% from three, but you're also just obviously not expecting that to happen. You
know, the problem too is that when you look at the Boston Celtics, they live and die by the three. They, absolutely. It's not that, can these guys get down low from time to time, get some buckets around the rim? Yeah, but there's no Nikola Jokic. Like, the Denver Nuggets could shoot poorly from three, and Murray could have a rough game shooting from three, and then you can just feed Nikola Jokic if things go south. Like, they have that out where Jokic can go for 40 if he needs to.
George Ponte said, how many times does Jimmy Butler outscore Jokic head-to-head in DraftKings points if they played 7 times? How many times does Jokic get hurt in 7 games is probably the answer.
Pretty much. And he's not a guy that
massive foul trouble.
Also not a guy that gets hurt often. Like, at the end of the year when he was dealing with that injury, you could tell it seemed like 50% he was kind of hurt, 50% it was just precautionary.
Right. 50% was just to screw my MVP bet. But I mean, realistically, in 7 games, you could find this answer. I don't have the time, energy, or care to do it, but like, you could, using projections and stuff, you could figure it out. My guess is that you would expect Butler to beat Jokic maybe once, probably less, out of 7 times.
Yeah. I don't know. Josh probably has something already pulled up on that. I was
gonna say, I know Josh is in chat. He may have this set up already. I doubt that he does.
If you do, Josh, hit us with that. That'd be interesting to know. Like, what's the likely? What is the probability that Jokic is outscored by Butler in this series in any of these games? It's hard to think often, because a pretty disappointing game from Jokic is still a pretty good game from Butler. Like, 55 from Jokic is a good game for Butler, and it's not a good game for Nikola Jokic, and they're basically the same price.
Right. Like, that's the thing, like, if Jimmy Butler goes and gets like 50, 55 DraftKings points, has a game that produces that total, you're going to have people on Twitter losing their minds at how playoff Jimmy Butler showed up again. If Nikola Jokic goes for 50 or 55, you're going to have people saying how bad Jokic is.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's dive into this. We got a lot to get into. You got Live Before a Lot coming up after this. Jordan, who do we got on Live Before a Lot? Greg and Neil? Eric Lindquist and Greg. All right. Eric Lindquist, Greg Ehrenberg coming up, taking you all the way up to lock. So that'll be good stuff. Demetrius says, honestly, I'll be shocked if this game goes to 6. If Denver comes to play, that's how good they are. They are. I mean, they're clearly the better team.
Yeah, I mean, I think barring injury to Jokic, Denver in 5, wouldn't be shocked if it's 4.
Bam played a really good defensive game in game 7. Offensively, he was atrocious, but overall, he was a net positive, I think you could say. What is there anything Miami can do defensively to combat Nikola Jokic? Because it's not like they don't have Jamal Murray that can rip off 7 threes in certain games. Like, is there anything they can do to combat Nikola Jokic here?
No, I don't really think so. I mean, obviously teams can try and double him, but unlike some other centers, he's very good at passing out of that, and it's not a great strategy because he's such a good passer. So,
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
don't think that was lost on me.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, that's why Jokic consistently puts up the numbers that he does. It's not like he's sneaking up on teams. Teams aren't going in the games being like, oh shit, like this guy's really good. Maybe we should come up with a strategy to stop him. There's just not. He's too good at passing. He's too good at scoring. He's going to get his one way or the other.
Do you think Bam Adebayo in a spot like this is a solid captain option?
Sort of. Like, he's the thing I struggle with Bam is, especially in the postseason, I would just rather be going to guys that are going to have the ball in their hands more, have the offense run through them more. Like, he's still dependent on Jimmy Butler giving him the ball. Jokic obviously is going to get it constantly. He's at a different price point. But like, you have somebody like Jamal Murray that can call his own number. We had talked about this. I know it came up on our show prior to game 7, because somebody asked like a 2v2 that was really close. And my reasoning, I took the non-Bam side. It was like Jaylen Brown and Butler versus Tatum and Bam, I think. And my reasoning was just that it's easier for a wing or a guard, or obviously Jokic, to just take over a game than it is Bam. It's really hard for, like, Bam can have big games, but it's really hard for him to go out there and have that massive game that Jamal Murray can. Like, if Bam goes for 60 plus fantasy points, it's a big deal. Obviously, it's a big deal if Murray does it too, but we've already seen him do it several times. Like, he just kind of does that, and he can in the postseason. So I think Bam is fine at captain. 9,200 is 9,200 times 1.5 is a cheaper price tag than you're getting on any of the other guys that I would prefer at captain. Jokic at 14K, Butler at 13.4, Murray 1,600 more expensive than Bam as well. So he's getting 15% ownership. He's the 3rd highest owned captain. I do think, given the price difference, he's a good captain. It's just that I would still, if I can, prefer getting to any of Jokic. Well, Jokic, Murray, I would say Butler, but again, if I get the Butler, I'm just getting the Jokic.
It is difficult with Bam right now, though, man. Like, yes, he's cheaper than Jamal Murray. He's kind of he's really in a tier of his own, right? When you look at this, like, there's nobody else that's he's in a tier of his own. You have Jokic and Butler in the same tier, which is ridiculous. And then Murray is in a tier of his own after a big drop off, and then another drop off to Bam. I don't know. I have and by the way, when I asked you that question, Chad had a very distinctly negative reaction to that. When I asked you if Bam's a good captain, just rapid fire no's in chat. And you know what? Look, normally you look at that and you go, you guys are being rash. You're being, that let's step back here for a second. And he is getting almost 15% captain ownership, essentially tied with Murray for the 2nd most captain ownership on the slate. But, and you mentioned this, like 60 points from Bam. It's not only a lot, it hasn't happened in the postseason, but he does have 2 games with 55 plus. The problem with Bam is that you don't have a consistent floor here. Not to say that in a Millie Maker tournament, that's what you're looking for. You're not saying like, oh, we're playing Bam for his floor, but there's a lot of these games that are in the, the mid 30s. And that, I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. He is sandwiched in between these, infrequent 55 fantasy point games, which he's had 2 since the postseason began, and they've played a decent amount of games. Everything else has been okay at best at this price point.
Yeah, I kind of had the same reaction as Chat did when you asked about Bam as a captain. The reason that I think he's still a good captain is that pricing. When you look at the players that are below him, yes, I'm very aware Caleb Martin had a huge series last time out. He's $7,400 here. Michael Porter Jr. at $7,600. Like, those guys can still have big games, but there's clearly a drop off in what you expect and what a ceiling typically looks like from Bam Adebayo to everybody below him. So that price point, given that he is a lot cheaper than Murray, just makes it still pretty easy to get to him. But I'm with Chad as far as I wouldn't be upset if it just turns out I'm able to get to a lot of Murray and Jokic instead.
Yeah. Josh said he has Jokic beating. Thanks, Josh. Has Jokic beating Butler 81% of the time, but Butler beats him 1.3 out of 7. So basically what you said.
Yeah, it seems completely right to me.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Like it's never going to be 0%. It's not going to be like 0 out of 7. So
right.
Yeah. But if that's the case, then the discrepancy in captain ownership and salary is still way too, it's still not enough at all.
Right, exactly. Like you're getting 2.5 to 1, at least with the way it's projected. You know, maybe people do play Jokic more, but the way it's projected right now, you have it at 2.5 to 1 in favor of Jokic, and it should be 4 to 1.
Exactly. All right. So thinking of a few different ways we can approach this. We'll talk about some value, guys. In Windy City, I saw your super chat. I'm going to get to that in a second. Appreciate that. We'll get into some of these mid-range options. We'll talk about, can we play the 1K guys? All of that for today. And also, what do lineups look like when we're throwing some of these less expensive, maybe mid-range or even less so options into the captain spot? That's when things get really interesting. Before we do, though, I've told you guys for the last week or two, ever since we partnered with Sleeper, what they've got over there as a product is sick. I didn't know what to expect. I played a lot of dynasty leagues over there for a while now. I know that they're immensely popular. Like if you go into I was surprised by this too. You go into the app store. I was like, I wonder how many reviews Sleeper has, right? Because sometimes it's easy to fall out of like the fantasy football space, but they got Pick'em now too. Sleeper has 112,000 reviews, which is insane. They have more than DraftKings Sportsbook, more than DraftKings Sportsbook. That blows my mind. 112,000 reviews, 4.9 star rating. They're crushing it. And now they got the Pick'em contest. So if you haven't signed up yet, tonight is legitimately the best time to do it. 2 reasons. One, you're always going to get 100% deposit bonus up to $100. You put $100 in, now you have 200. Or let's just say you're a little strapped. You put 10 in, now you got 20. You can put 20 in, you got 4. Either way, you're doubling your bankroll, 100% match up to $100. But you got a free square today. You got a free square on Caleb Martin kicking off the finals, over 0.5 point. And with the way this guy's been playing, my God, that would suck if he didn't get there. I mean, it's an automatic play. They're doing this because you can plug a guy in and boom. Now, here's what makes Sleeper different than all the other pick'em sites. I think it's innovative enough to where other pick'em sites are going to start doing this. Here's why. All the other pick'em sites, and there's some very good ones out there. Some of them that are partnered with Stochastic too. Full disclosure, you guys know that already. What Sleeper's doing is they said, you know what? We can only offer so many props because if something has big plus money attached to one side of it, we can't offer it because there's no juice. You can't do a plus 300. So what they did dynamic payouts. All right. Dynamic payouts means that now you can take home run props. You can take goal scorer props, right? Double, triple props, and you can throw them all into the same card together because they've attached dynamic pricing to them. Essentially, it would be like if a guy's minus 150 on one side and, minus 150 on one side and plus whatever on the other side, plus 120 on the other side, the minus 150 would be worth less as a multiplier than the other side. So if you're taking the plus money side of something at a traditional sports book, you can now do that here, plug them into a card and build massive payouts, up to 100x payouts. It's the highest payouts in the DFS pick'em market by far. So tonight you do it, you sign up, you use the link in the description and in chat. First thing you do once you get in and deposit, you get your deposit bonus and you throw Caleb Martin over 0.5 point into your card and build it out from there. And if you want to use our tools, Pick'em Pro tool is down there, link in the description as well. Check it out, man. It's awesome. And it looks good too. It's clean. Sleeper, sponsor of the Deeper Dive. All right. Minimum deposit is 20 on that. Sorry. So minimum deposit 20. And then whatever you want up to that. All right. So let's talk about captains not named Nikola Jokic. I think we're in agreement that Jimmy Butler probably not the optimal captain for today. We talked about Bam Adebayo at captain. Jamal Murray's another guy that I think you're very happy to get to Jamal Murray at captain, right? I'm not sure how far we have to go into that.
Yeah, I totally forgot I had a crunch running too, so it makes it easier to talk about. One, to get back to the Jokic Butler thing, this isn't like necessarily representative of what my actual lineups will look like. I haven't gotten that far, but just in how things are showing up, I'm getting Jokic as the captain like 10 times as often as Butler, like 35% to 5 or so, 7 times.
Wow.
But yeah, Murray showing up fourth most often for me, basically tied with Caleb Martin. Obviously, I would prefer getting to Murray. Obviously, Martin is less expensive, but yeah, massive upside for Murray. And he at least too, there's ways that you could construct your lineup with Murray at captain that I think are sort of interesting. Like if you wanted to play more balanced and not get to Jokic, like it's really tough not to get to a guy on a single game slate that projects 16 points higher than the next closest guy. I don't think it's a great idea. He's going to probably be in every lineup I play in some way. But if you were to take that approach and say like, look, this guy's going to be really popular. I can make some solid mid-range lineups and just hope that somehow he's good, but not great. Murray's the most likely guy to go absolutely nuts if the game plays out that way.
So who's your second most owned captain? Is it Bam?
Yeah.
Ooh, how much?
11.
All right. 11% Bam at captain. All right.
And again, this isn't what I'm playing necessarily. It's how often it's showing up is essentially optimal for me.
Right. No, I get it. If we're talking about some of the mid-range guys, though, Caleb Martin, Michael Porter Jr., there's a few of them. Bruce Brown's price point is a little bit surprising. Gabe Vincent, Aaron Gordon, I think I mentioned him already. Just throwing all of these guys into the mix, right? Like the mid 5K range up to the mid 7K range, because all in all, while it makes a difference, if you're captaining one of them, you're still saving a lot of money, not going to a Jokic, Murray, really, or Bam. Do you have a preference outside of Caleb Martin there? Is there anyone that's popping up a decent amount? Josh's top lineup today that he was playing, not the optimal, but the top one once he sorted, actually had, and I'm not sure if this is still the case, he's in chat, he can say, had Aaron Gordon in there.
I was going to say, Gordon and Porter are the other two guys showing up more than 5% for me in captain. Jokic, Bam, Martin, Murray, Porter, Gordon. And those guys make sense. They're similar to Caleb Martin in that, you're expecting solid minutes out of them, assuming Martin starts. If he comes off the bench, he's still probably playing big minutes, but that's, a whole separate conversation where you can't give him as many minutes. But assuming he starts, probably playing a lot. Porter and Gordon both playing a lot, but they also have to their game that element where, they are the 3rd/4th option on the Nuggets, but they do have enough offensive game where if the game kind of breaks weird or Jokic has a bad game or rolls an ankle or whatever, those guys can step up. Like we know Aaron Gordon has a big, he can do a lot offensively. He just doesn't, that's not his role on this team. He doesn't need to, but it can happen. Michael Porter Jr. certainly can get hot from 3 and put up a big game. They both can rebound. They both contribute in a variety of ways. So they're cheap enough. They have steady enough playing time where they are showing up as, I think, solid mid-range captains if you can't get to Jokic.
So someone just mentioned in chat, DG, who's getting a free Chipotle burrito from Twitter? Each 3-pointer made, first 300 people to respond. Man, when I go to Chipotle, and I'll get the double steak. Shit's like $22 for one burrito.
Yeah, it's not cheap anymore.
I mean, I'm exaggerating, but right now, if you go get a double, as they like to call it, protein, which it is, but they don't have like double protein.
Right.
You go get a burrito. It's almost $20.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I never know the price of anything because I just get everything door dashed. So it becomes way more expensive anyway.
Yeah. Player prop tweeted me. Jimmy was, so when you say that Jokic, I don't know, dude, he put every single word in caps. I can't read that.
I don't even see it.
He tweeted it at me.
Oh, okay.
Every word starts with a capital letter. Can't do that. I can't. I'm telling you, it hurts
breaks
my
your
eye.
brain.
Yeah, it hurts my brain. So yeah, okay, Chipotle. What if we give away free burritos every time? I want something back for this, Chipotle. Hit me up. What if we give away free burritos?
Wait, are you reading a tweet right now, or is this an original idea from you?
This is an original idea. Hey, okay. Chipotle. What if every time a 3-pointer is hit, we give a burrito away, and we'll call it Chipotle free pointer? Now, Adam, here's what I propose. During each game this series, they drop 300 free burritos for every 3-pointer made. Now, if you should follow them and turn on your notifications, and it'll start today. 300. This is what they should do: make 300 codes available per every 3-pointer, and then make it around like 10,500 max codes per game. Should be in the U.S. only. You should have to be probably 13 plus, and then standard text and data rates probably should apply.
I wasn't listening.
Yeah, it's a fucking tweet from them. Why would I just feel like every time Chipotle should give away 300?
Okay, so here's what I thought happened. I thought somebody brought up what Chipotle was actually doing, and then I thought you had some spin-off idea that you felt needed to be shared, is what I thought was going on.
No, but I'm just thinking, like, all right, so how much do you think this would be? Let's say how many 3-pointers you think are hit today? Say like between these two teams, 30.
I mean, Miami's probably gonna hit 30.
Yeah, but let's just assume regression.
35?
Sure.
Yeah, 35 sounds good.
All right, 35 times 300. How much an average price? They're probably giving you shit burritos too. They're probably like, I'm saying they're probably not giving you the full.
I'm surprised they're going burrito and not taco. It's a lot easier to skimp on tacos.
Does Chipotle do tacos?
Yeah.
Oh, I just knew the bowls and the burritos. I've never gotten anything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do salads too.
So let's just say it's like $12 a burrito. It's okay. It's about 125,000. Not bad. Not bad. What would you get?
If I was getting a burrito from Chipotle?
Yeah, double steak for me with just everything.
Yeah. So I don't usually do double because, like I said, I DoorDash it and I don't trust them to not screw me. So I just typically don't order double. But yeah, if I were there ordering it, double steak, lettuce, brown rice, black beans, sour cream. Yeah.
I'm just going to lose me my Chipotle sponsorship, but Devin said Chipotle 15 years ago was top tier. It's fallen off big time. Not going to lie. It really depends on when you go. Sometimes it's delicious and sometimes the steak is chewy as all hell.
I also just wonder, because like I still, I still enjoy it. I still get it a lot, but I have the same sentiment. But also 15 years ago, 15 years ago, I was in high school. 10 to 15 years ago, I was in college. Like everything tasted better.
That's a good point. Yeah. Like Pizza Hut buffet was the shit. When
right. Like, yeah. Yeah,
to be clear, I would Chipotle, still crush Pizza Hut buffet.
Right, like it's still enjoyable, but like Chipotle was like, 15 years ago for me was the food that like you looked forward to going to get.
Right. That was like high scale high school food.
Right. Right.
Is Bruce Brown playable at captain today? He's got 2% right now, 2.6% at the captain spot. He has had some solid games off the bench. There's no denying that. His minutes are definitely more stable than some of the guys below him. But, I don't know if it's enough. Is it enough at this price point for a guy that might play 24 minutes tonight?
He's showing up like 2% for me. I'm looking now kind of to see what those lineups look like. It's, you're able to get Jokic plus Murray plus Bam in one of them. One has Jokic, Murray, Martin. These lineups don't seem like they should be. Oh, so yeah, one has Green over Highsmith. Like they're decent lineups. One has Jokic plus Butler with Vincent and Lowry. Like you can get pretty decent looking lineups, paying down there. You don't necessarily have to totally punt. There's one Jokic, Porter, Martin, Gordon, Strus. Like that's kind of an appealing lineup because you're not totally punting a spot, but it's still just not showing up that often for me either. I think the ownership's pretty much where it should be.
Wade said, double is hard to avoid a guac blowout. They don't wrap them. Guac blowout is the least type of blowout I'm worried about after eating a double steak from Chipotle.
Oh man, Josh Gillen, the personal pan for reading the books. That was great.
Oh my God. Yeah. And you know what else? Wells Fargo Center, Flyers, Sixers. Yep. It's been a million different names. Wachovia Center goes back, even back before they tore down the Spectrum. I would go with my dad to Flyers games and I'd get the personal pan pizzas. The personal, like you were talking about, the Pizza Hut pizzas. I would shit my brains out, but it was Dude, they were so good. Remember how greasy they were though?
Yeah, we at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. Josh and I were there for the MMA event, and they had like I don't remember what brand it was, but the same thing, like personal pan pizzas. It was amazing.
Oh, they're the best. I wonder if they still make them.
We were there in July.
Where we were, you were there?
In at the arena in Dallas.
No, I mean, I wonder if they still. Oh, you're saying you got them there. My fault. I thought you were.
No, I was saying like 10 months ago or 11 months ago,
gotcha.
like me and Josh got them.
All right. Tell me if I'm wrong here, because this is just a thought, but it could be completely off base. So when it comes to guys like Bruce Brown, what's the ceiling on Bruce Brown compared to some of the guys who are cheaper than him? Because it feels like when you're looking at Bruce Brown, you're talking about a pretty low ceiling. He has a 1.6% boom percentage in the boom bust tool. It's lower than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. It's lower than Gabe Vincent. We have Bruce Brown's ceiling pretty low as well. Would you not rather just save, not to say you can't play him because it's a one-game slate, but do you think it's just more viable to get more of the guys beneath him who basically have that same ceiling, if not higher, maybe, if you're talking about Gabe Vincent?
So I think the thing that makes it tricky, because what you're saying I think makes sense, but I don't think in terms of lineups it actually makes that much of a difference. Just with the way that pricing works out. You know, like I was just saying with Brown, in the lineups that I do have Brown at captain, some of them have a punt, whether it's Jeff Green or Highsmith or whatever. But you don't necessarily have to. You know, I mentioned the one where Strus, I think, was the worst player in the lineup. If you look at Strus at captain, you know, he's less expensive. It's not totally different. Like one of the top lineups I'm looking at has Christian Brown as a punt. One has Kyle Lowry as the worst player. That's, you know, not the end of the world, but Cody Zeller showing up, Duncan Robinson showing up. So I don't think you're getting a major difference in terms of the quality of your lineup. And so for me, like Gabe Vincent, KCP, Kyle Lowry, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, Max Strus, all just showing up like 2 to 3% of the time at captain, because in theory, the lower owned ones would be more beneficial, but it's just not making that big of a difference in terms of the quality of your lineup.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Yeah, I pulled up the boom bust tool, looking at the ceiling from, wow, God, even the ceiling, dramatic difference from Jokic to Butler. And then nobody else is even remotely close after that. Boom score today on Jokic is 57%. Jimmy Butler boom score is 9%.
Which is crazy because they are very comparable since they're the same price.
Amazing.
Ish.
Yeah, I don't know how to make sense of it. You want to talk some of these value players, because this is where it gets kind of interesting. How often are we getting to these 1K or $1,400 players? I actually want to start with Haywood Highsmith, because last game, in game 7, we saw him come off the bench in the first quarter or in the first half, and he played 9 minutes. Then he played, sparingly in the second half. I think only 1 minute or so, but got 9 minutes in a do or die game. Yurtsevin, Jovic played, that doesn't count. Just straight garbage time, like 30 seconds to close out the game. But your only other bench players were Lowry, Duncan Robinson, who simply played every minute that Max Strus didn't play, and Haywood Highsmith. Kevin Love did not see the floor again. What do you think the chances are that we go back to Kevin Love today, that Spoelstra goes back, or that we see more Haywood Highsmith in this matchup?
Yeah, I think we see Love back in the rotation today. Obviously, no guarantee there, but that's my expectation. You know, I saw people in chat saying maybe Love starts. He could. I'm assuming they stick with Martin here. But you got 9 minutes from Highsmith that game. You got Robinson and Strus splitting minutes as usual. I expect the Highsmith minutes probably to be Kevin Love. Maybe some of the Duncan Robinson becomes Kevin Love. It is obviously sort of guessing because it's game 1, but I do think Love plays today.
All right. Devin said, if this series had a pizza eating competition, who would be your captain? If it was Team Stochastic, I'd probably go Josh, because we've seen him put down some food. If it's in this game, I don't know, because looks are deceiving when it comes to being able to eat.
Udonis Haslem.
You think Haslem?
Yeah.
You just crush pizza?
I feel like you crush pizza.
I feel like most people would say Jokic, but I think that's unfair.
Yeah. I mean, Cody Zeller.
Zeller looks like he enjoys a good pizza.
Yeah, and he's just a massive dude.
Yeah, but watch it's like Lowry. He's got a fat ass on him.
Yeah, I mean Lowry
A lot of
definitely.
pizza down there. Yeah. He's got a
I
can
mean,
on him.
Lowry's kind of going towards the Nikola Jokic 12-year-old body. So,
Yeah, he is. At least the lower half.
right.
I was watching the other day. I was watching it the other day. I was like, man, look at that. Bouncing. Couldn't even watch the game. I was drawn in, sucked into the gaze. Josh said he would wreck the entire company. Do you think there's anybody that could out-eat Josh here? You know who it would be? It would end up being Ben or something. And he just
I mean, I can eat. I don't know that I can out-eat Josh.
What type of PEDs? Oh, you're talking about weed? If you smoke weed?
It's 2023. I think we're allowed to say weed.
Yeah, sure. You could do that. Do you think you could take Josh? That's probably true. Should we set something up for like who would challenge him? You think Emac could take him?
No. I have won a beer drinking contest with Emac though.
I don't want Emac keeling over. We love you, Emac. You won a beer drinking contest with him?
Yeah, it was me and Emac against DC and losing to a girl.
Oof. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that could take him. Can't do it. All right. But yeah, Kyle Lowry. I made some people uncomfortable with entirely the point. All right. Kyle Lowry today. Do you think he continues to see the same time? This is like with Denver, we have a pretty good idea of what the rotation is going to look like for the most part, right? I don't think they need to make as many adjustments to stay competitive, at least not in game one. We shouldn't be projecting for that. But in game one of your Miami, especially short rest, going up. Yeah, I know. I wasn't going to say it, but I thought the same thing. In game one, we've already seen a decent amount of adjustments made by Spoelstra, not with Butler and Bam and guys like that. But is there anything here that you think could be, instrumental in taking down a tournament today, whether it's Gabe Vincent or Lowry or Robinson or anyone we haven't talked about in that area?
Instrumental? I mean, there's guys that certainly have that path. Miami, I agree with you. I think Miami is the more difficult team to talk about their cheap rotation because they are the big underdogs coming in. They are the team.
Instrumental, Adam. I don't mean they're going to have 50. I mean that their surprise role in a rotation might be the difference, just to be clear.
Right. And I think you're more likely to get that from the Miami side just because they are the team that has every incentive to just kind of try weird shit because they are the underdogs. I don't know how quickly that happens, if it happens in game one or not, but you do just sort of have more moving pieces there. With Denver, you have a really shitty bench and a bunch of starters that are going to play a ton of minutes. So you sort of have a pretty good idea what Denver's bench rotation is. Jeff Green or Bruce Brown's going to play. Jeff Green probably plays. Christian Brown may or may not. So if one of those guys exists, it's probably from the Miami side. I will once again point out, maybe it changes in this series, but Strus and Robinson essentially just combining for 48 minutes in most games still creates a situation where at relatively inexpensive price points, there is still upside for them. 4,200 for Duncan Robinson, Strus coming in at 4,800. From a median standpoint, neither of them are going to look great, but if Strus actually gets hot, he probably plays the fourth quarter. If Robinson gets hot, he can play a lot of minutes. So you're not necessarily getting the same, 28 minutes for Strus, 20 minutes for Robinson that you got last game. If one of them gets hot, you can still easily get 34 minutes from one.
And honestly, it wasn't even that Robinson was hot in that last game. It's just that what they were doing was working, and they started to pull away late against the Celtics. At the end of starting in the fourth quarter is when they opened up a really big lead.
Right. But you've also seen games where Robinson does get hot and suddenly Strus plays, 20 minutes or something.
I agree.
Yeah, and you can see it vice versa.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, there's a lot of questions here. What do you think the lowest amount of minutes you could see from a guy like Robinson today is?
From Robinson, I mean, you could see 12,
That's
depending
what I
on what,
was thinking.
like if Kevin Love is back in the rotation and Highsmith stays in the rotation. Again, I don't think that's the most likely case, but like he could not play a lot.
How many minutes do we have him projected for? Let's see. We have Robinson projected for 19.4. I mean, that seems about right, just given what we've seen. But it's hard to project Robinson right now. How many we have Lowry projected for how many minutes today? 24. I mean, it all makes sense, but you have to think, right? You have to think that Gabe Vincent's playing time comes back down to the low 30s in this game, right? Or do we expect him to play upwards of 40 again? I mean, he only played 26 minutes last game. He played 41 before that, 28, 36, 40. So when he was healthy, he was playing a ton of minutes, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing last game, like you said, the unit that was out there towards the end of the game was playing well. So you got the final 15 and a half minutes of the game going to Kyle Lowry. They didn't play many minutes alongside each other, only about 2 minutes and 41 seconds. So I think that on average, you're getting low 30s from Vincent, and then you're probably getting less than, less for Lowry. I think that the projections on Lowry and Vincent are sort of interesting because we have Lowry at 24, Vincent at 32. So we have them projected to play 8 minutes alongside each other, which is kind of a lot, but like it still could happen. I think that they might cut into each other's playing time a little bit more than that, though.
People talking about Miami's depth being better than Denver. This is the NBA Finals. Plus, it's not like Denver's depth is Phoenix's depth. Like Denver has a good overall starting lineup. They have Bruce Brown. This isn't like, they have it's Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and literally nobody else. I mean, Ayton was a liability in that series. I'm not really sure where this depth conversation comes into play unless we expect the starters to play 30 minutes a night.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Like it's the NBA Finals. The Nuggets are going to probably play 2 guys off the bench at all, maybe 3 if Christian Brown gets in the rotation. It doesn't matter. Like, cool, Miami has a better 9th guy when neither team's going to play 9 guys.
Jack said, "Oh my God, a Josh compliment." That might be the first time I've seen Josh compliment somebody in chat ever.
Yeah, it probably is.
And by complimenting it, in doing so, he was insulting everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really, I'm not sure it was a way to compliment somebody outside of more so just insulting everyone else. But yes, Michael H makes a good point. I agree. Also, we have almost 1,300 people watching for a 1-game slate. Thank you guys. Thank you. That's good stuff, man. But I will say there are 63 of you out there that could help us get to 300 likes here, and it would just be that much greater of a night. And we would just be in much better shape. 62 now.
To the people complaining at the start of the show that we were talking basketball and not baseball, you guys watch, which is why.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, seriously. If you guys want to, that's a great point. You guys want to start watching all of the baseball shows? You guys want to start doing that? We'll do baseball all year round. Shit, man. We'll do baseball in November if you want to watch. But
yeah, I mean, I'd already made the push for like, oh, let's just do this as a baseball show. And you're like, no, you're an idiot.
I didn't say it like that. I was like, look, dude, 3 times as many people are going to watch NBA. It's the final. People love NBA other than football. NBA is still king,
Oh yeah, for sure. And also, I mean, to be fair, tonight we're comparing it to a 3-game baseball slate with $25K to first, or a basketball slate with $1 million to first.
Right. It's $1 million to first on a 1-game showdown slate. It wasn't
the $4 basketball the $4 20 max basketball tournament tonight is $15K to first. The biggest MLB tournament is $25K to first.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Carter said, I watch your guys' baseball shows and don't even like baseball or bet on. I appreciate you. Our baseball shows are awesome. Neil and Adam have been crushing. I like talking baseball, but the truth is with basketball, there really is a little bit more nuance into it when you get into these showdown sites. Like,
and postseason in general, like it's we always have the conversation back and forth during the season about, watching games, not watching games, whatever, how much of a difference it makes. If it's ever going to make a difference, it is during the postseason. Like, you actually have you have teams playing over and over and over again. And without a doubt, their number one goal each time is to win that game. Like, during the regular season, you have other things going on, whether it's, guys being banged up, trying to rest guys, whatever it may be. And you're not just game planning over and over and making adjustments like you are in the postseason.
Right. Smokey says, some people follow the data. Some people bet all of the overs on Prize Picks. Shrugs. Yeah. That another one yesterday. Poor Brian went 1-4-1. If he was using the Bet Pro tool or the Pick'em Pro tool, this wouldn't have happened. Our boy Hutch Boy, in our chalkboard. You should join our chalkboard. It's free. So are all the picks in the conversation. Ben actually came in. Ben came in, Ben did an AMA/office hours in there tonight. It was awesome. But if you haven't checked out Bet Pro, which is just all of the best bets by EV, by expected win percentage, by recommended bet percentage, everything. All this for NBA and for MLB, all of that, you're getting half off the first month. Massive discount on that. Hutch Boy, I always got to shout out my guy because he's been instrumental in chalkboard and he's just been awesome. But he tweeted it at Greg and myself yesterday, and shout out to Hutch Boy. Shout out to our man. The real question is, can I crack 3K profit for May? I'm so thankful for the chalkboard from Laffy, Greg, Stochastic. Let's make it happen with OddsShopper Premium and BetPro. Adam, you know what the coolest thing about this is? He's almost up 3K in May using the tools, and he doesn't even bet $50. His units aren't even $50. His unit size is like $35.
Man, talking about Lowry's ass. Now you're coming on here making fun of guys' unit sizes.
Yeah, I'd only pay $35 for that unit. $35 units. Seriously though. To 3K in a month, that's pretty incredible stuff. You don't see that very often. The strikeout props have been dominant. The link's in the description and in chat. Now, if you're questioning, we're not trying to confuse you here. If you're saying what's Bet Pro and what's Pick'em Pro, Bet Pro, say you're in legal betting state, and you want to get the data and all of the best bets for DraftKings, for FanDuel, Caesars, MGM, because ideally you should have accounts on all of these books, take advantage of all the promos, and make sure that you can get all of the best lines across all of these books. That's what we have at BetPro. If you want that, you got it. BetPro also has, all of the pick'em sites as well. But if you're in non-legal betting states and you're trying to, scratch that itch, Pick'em Pro is cheaper than BetPro, also half off the first month, and it's all of the top bets for all of the pick'em sites. All you do is sort by expected win percentage, and boom, you got them right there. It's going to, if nothing else, it's going to save you a ton of time every day and likely make you a lot of money. So check it out, half off the first month, BetPro or Pick'em Pro. Like, I use BetPro because I can't do the Pick'em sites, but I can legally sports bet. Some of you might only be able to do the Pick'em sites, do Pick'em Pro. And either way, one of them will work, half off, link in the description and in chat. How about these dirt cheap players, Adam? How often are you seeing in these crunches that you're getting to the 1K guys, to the Highsmiths, to the Zellers? I can throw Kevin Love in there for you, and then any just flat bottom 1K players like Christian Brown.
Yeah, I mean, Love and Highsmith showing up like 10 to 15% for me. It's that combo is really tricky for me because I don't know which way it's going to go. I think Love plays a role here, and I feel like looking back, we could just be a little bit too low on Kevin Love. But either way, those guys are showing up. Zeller's showing up around 11%. Guys getting 0 or showing up like 2%. But yeah, I mean, I think one of Highsmith or Love is probably my preferred option as far as the cheap guys go. Cody Zeller also in that range. Christian Brown's fine. The problem is he didn't play last game, but I think it's likely he's back in the rotation early in the series.
Do you think the starting lineups remains the same as it did in Game 7?
I think it will. I'm not super confident. I think that I think there's a good chance that they go with the same starting lineup and then they lose and they switch things up.
All right. Because I'm wondering, like, if Kevin Love's not in the starting lineup, then how confident are we that he's back in the rotation?
Not very.
Okay.
I mean, I'm more. If he's not in the starting lineup, I think it's more likely he plays tonight than I thought it was that he would play in Game 7. Obviously, there's still no guarantee he plays, but the matchup just makes more sense.
Do you think he could start?
Could, yes.
What? Okay, we had a couple super chats here. Let me hit the one from Windy City earlier. Jordan, let me pull this up. All right. Who? Okay, here's a good. Okay, perfect. I told you we'd get to this. Who are your favorite 2 players for 1,200 or less? And by favorite, we use that term like
very loosely. Okay, so that rules out Highsmith. It rules out Love. Yep. So 1,200 or less.
It's like Zeller, Brown, and then guys that aren't going to play.
Right, yeah, it's Zeller or Brown. Mm-hmm. I'm not convinced Brown plays today, but there's a chance he does. Like if Denver's rotation goes beyond just Bruce Brown and Jeff Green off the bench, Christian Brown is the next guy. Cody Zeller, you expect to play the non-BAM minutes, which are probably like 4. But those guys, at least, like you expect to play. Could play. Everybody else, I mean, there's no reason to expect them to be in the rotation.
Wouldn't be shocking if Brown didn't play. Even in that last series.
Right. He didn't play Game 4. He played like 3.5 minutes in Game 3.
Yeah, and it's not like they were down in the series. You know, those would have been the times to play him, but his minutes continued to go down and then caught a DNP-CD when they were up 3-0 in the series. So
right. Like, and Denver's bench has just been so weird all year because they struggle whenever the second unit's out there. Michael Malone has tried a bunch of different things with that second unit. Christian Brown has frequently been sort of the like energy piece where they go to the Christian Brown unit and it actually plays pretty well, at least for a while, but they've never really stuck with it. And so, like I said, if they go beyond, we know Bruce Brown is the 6th guy. Jeff Green, we assume, is going to be the 7th guy. Like, could that randomly be Bryant or Najee? Like, I guess, but there's no reason to expect that to be the case right now. If they go to 8, you assume it's Christian Brown, but there's no guarantee they go to 8.
Kicks Good said Brown could get a 0 and still be in the winning lineup. It's happened before.
Yeah.
Yes, very true. The only difference here is that of all of those guys, you know, like Brown is a lot more getting a lot more ownership than Zeller, and Love's getting no ownership whatsoever. That's the one that's the most intriguing to me, only because he's getting 4% right now at 2,600.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because, again, like I think there's a lot of volatility there. Does he definitely play? No. But would it shock you? So, like, we saw Highsmith play 9 minutes last game. What if Highsmith doesn't play and those minutes just go straight to Love? What if Love plays well and suddenly he's at like 12 minutes, 13 minutes at no ownership and 2,600? So there is at least that path for him where, and this goes back to what I was saying, where like you know what Denver is trying to do, and that is basically play their second unit as little as they possibly can. Miami has more fluidity because they just don't have as many good players as Denver does. So there's ways that rotation can go where, you know, we've seen the Strus Robinson trade-off, but, you know, there's ways the rotation can go where Love cuts into Robinson a little bit. You know, we were seeing that before. So there's a lot more uncertainty in Miami, and that does make it interesting when you get low-owned guys from the Heat.
Corey J said it's Braun, not Brown. Well, it's both. Brown. It's spelled Braun and it's pronounced Brown.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, should you have looked that up first before correcting us? Absolutely. I understand. I understand your confusion. I do.
He's like sitting there watching, and his immediate assumption is you and me are both just incapable of reading the word.
We're just reading the last name of Bruce and the first name of Christian.
Right.
Like, yeah, both of us are doing that
right.
the whole show.
Like when he first started playing, I called him Christian Braun because that's what his name says. And chat corrected it to Brown, and I was like, you guys are idiots, but looked it up and it's definitely Brown.
I called him Braun when you and I were doing a show together early in the season when I was still in NFL mode, and I heard you didn't even correct me, but you just said Christian Braun, and I was like, wait. And then I think I remember asking you, is it actually? Even the announcers were laughing at it on the game broadcast.
If you search it on Twitter, back from when he was at, I think, Kansas, there's a tweet where he's like, yes, it is pronounced Brown.
It makes no sense at all. I don't know. It really doesn't. And then Kid Catastrophe said they're trying to win. Brown wasn't a needle mover. Yeah, that's what I don't know if you're referring to us, but that's exactly what we were saying. We're saying, like, even in those games 3 and 4, where, yeah, you're still trying to win, but you could have played him a little bit more. You had nice little bit of cushion. They still didn't play him. So, yeah.
Yeah. Marquee Music Group said RotoWire projects Highsmith over Love. We have him slightly higher than Love too. The issue is, and I guess like what I'm trying to get across here is, for most spots in an NBA Finals game, you can be pretty confident that your minutes projection is going to be pretty close to correct, barring foul trouble, injury. With this spot in particular, especially in game one, where we don't know how Spoelstra is going to look to match up with Denver, what you're essentially doing is trying to project like the median outcome. But the median outcome here isn't both guys play 5 or 6 minutes. It's very likely only one of them plays. And so that's where it's really tricky. Like right now we have both guys projected for like 5 to 6 minutes, but it's more likely that you get like 9 to 10 from one of them.
Right.
And
yeah, that's a good way.
We are guessing. Yeah. And it's kind of, it becomes tricky too when you are putting out projections and content, because from a median standpoint, like it's kind of, it needs to be 5 or 6 minutes to both, because you expect them to play like 0 or 9 to 10, and you don't know which one it's going to be. But, and so Highsmith is going to project a little bit better. But like what I'm trying to say is that you're still just essentially, you don't have a good idea which one it's going to be. So any site that has Love projected slightly higher than Highsmith or slightly lower, it doesn't really mean much. If you see somewhere where they're like projecting Kevin Love to play way more minutes than Highsmith or vice versa, that's at least like them taking a stand and pretending they have a good idea. Whether or not that's based in anything, depends on, I guess, like how much you trust the site. But like just seeing one of those guys project a little bit higher, you have to keep in mind there's just such a wide range here, not even in how they perform, but in how many minutes they play.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. All right, man, we got over 1,400 people here, all well over 300 likes, 763 again, from 400. I understand that's a tall order. Don't worry about it. But if you think we can get there, maybe help us out. Let's take a few super chats to wrap this up, Adam. Michael Bernier, or Bernier. Thank you, Dave, for always getting my name right. Well, can I use
good timing.
That was actually the super chat. Can I use Highsmith? I mean, I think we covered that.
You can. Yeah, I mean, you can. He might not step on the floor, but you can.
It's the same thing as like, can I play Love at 4%? Right. Yeah, he might not step on the floor. But
right. Yeah, Christian Brown might not step on the floor.
Yep. Cody Zeller, for all we know, Cody Zeller doesn't see the floor. I mean, probably.
So, and this is where it's weird too. Like, I feel more confident in Zeller stepping on the floor than I do either of Highsmith or Love individually. That's collectively, fair. One of them's going to play. But barring Bam foul trouble or injury, you get a higher minutes upside from Highsmith Love, because like Cody Zeller is not going to play alongside Bam, and Bam's going to play 43 minutes if he doesn't get in foul trouble or anything. So like you're looking like specifically at like 4-5 minutes from Cody Zeller, maybe. With Love and Highsmith, you're talking like possibly 0, possibly 10.
All right. Jillian Sullivan, best single entry captain on DraftKings, 2,000 entries. It's Jokic.
Yeah. I mean, I have it as Jokic by a lot.
Yeah. Riley Cooper, Bam over under 3.5 fouls. I don't know. I haven't looked.
Yeah. I have no idea.
I wish I could help you there. I don't know. I mean, going up against Jokic, I mean, I guess I'd lean over, but
I would lean over, but I don't have a strong take.
Hey, you can follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS, me at Lafayette_D. Appreciate you guys. We are going to get to 400 likes. You guys are the shit. What a good day. What a fun day. Me at Lafayette_D. Shout out to Jordan Klein. Coming up next, it's Greg Ehrenberg. It's Eric Lindquist, the Live Before Lock NBA Finals Edition. And can I just say one thing? Listen up. Hall of Fame segment's coming up next. We had a million slides, just a ton of winners. We went from the quarter arcade to the wiffle ball, all the way up to the big time stuff, right? If you're still not rocking the Stochastic avatar, to get a free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum, $120 value just by rocking the avatar. So when you win, no matter what the dollar amount is, you're in. If you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, run over to stochastic.com/avatar real quick. In this intermission, this few-minute intermission, as we get it set up for Live Before Lock, download the avatar and use it wherever you play. So when you do win, you can tweet your wins at Stochastic HOF, and then you can get inducted into the Hall of Fame by me. It'll be the proudest moment of your life. And you get a free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum. All the tools on the site. $120 value. Can't beat it. See you back here for the next one. Peace. Yo, it's that time of week again. Yeah, here we go. Inducting new fine people into the Stochastic Hall of Fame and dishing out this week a ton of free Stochastic Plus memberships, $120 value. All you got to do to get up here on the board, greatest day of your life, get inducted, get the free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum, is download the Stochastic.com avatar. At Stochastic.com/avatar. Use it wherever it is you play and tweet your wins at Stochastic HOF. You finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, and boom, you're in. Just have to have a Twitter account and play DFS with the avatar. Get the free month, get inducted. We got a lot of great ones today, so let's dive into it. First one, our own Josh Engelman. Don't worry, Steve Buzzard, I'll take it from here. 50K. Saturday over the weekend, our boy took down 50K in the relay throw, and it was a blowout, not even close. Shout out to Josh. You'll be seeing more of him and myself all over the shows going forward. Tyler McKeever, another trip to the Hall of Fame. Thanks, guys. $500 in the MLB Beanball. And Zemanuel chopped to 24 others, including Awesemo DFS for the win on FanDuel. Turned 60 in the roughly 1,200. All right, yeah. Oh, and of course, shout out to the best DFS content in the industry. Thanks, Emmanuel. Appreciate you. And Sean, how about Sean? Enjoyed chopping with Alex, chopping a lot lately. Alex in the $6 last night, been running hot in showdowns lately. Shout out to the Stochastic crew for the best content and tools in the game. And Brett comes up next. Just a very simple at Stochastic HOF, man, a few words. $3,000 in the jab step. And how about Crash Money? He's been up here a bunch lately. Turned 80 in the 600 with first place in the pinch hit and third in the wiffle ball, thanks to the whole Stochastic crew for great tools, and to EMAC and Terry McBride for a great show today, and NewsGod for great customer service, getting me going on baseball. Guys, just going out to everybody. A lot of love for everyone here. Jay, hey team, won this on the 511 slate. All lineup generator. Yeah, love to see that one. One entry, third out of almost 11,000, $2 in the 750. Using the MLB lineup generator, as you guys know, 50% off for your first week, less than $4.50 for the lineup generator for your first week. And we got Justin. Sometimes you don't hit for weeks. Sometimes all the projections, stars align. Nice 3-day MLB showdown heater. Couldn't do it without Stochastic. Yeah, dude. Awesome heater right there. Looks like you're back in the black, my friend. Jorn, woke up to a bink. Thanks for the advice, fellas. $500 in the MLB pinch hit on a $25 entry. And Matthew Bellman, back-to-backs from Bellman. MLB contributor here at Stochastic. Dude's just been absolutely raking. Yay baseball, 100K, 60K. Now, of course, guy's playing a decent amount in these entries, but he can because he wins a lot. Just like FanDuel has been decent as he shouts out Player Q DFS, our own Neil Orfield. Another $100,000 win. The screenshots from Matthew have been absolutely insane lately. Dave Oliver, you guys are the best, and thank you for your great advice and tools. First out of 1360, first turns that into $2,000. And Adam, this one's odd. Stochastic has daddy feeling real sexy after turning 25 cents into 500 last night. Go Hawks. And then he adds Eric Lindquist here, which is suspect, but we continue. And Tyler, again, third time this month in the top 5 for Tyler. Donkey, weird slate, but nice ROI in the $95,000 entry nickel contest. Stochastic tools rule the world. That they do, my friend. Congratulations. And Colby, please excuse my Twitter skills, but top 3, field of 5K or more, barely making both. $2 into $250. Always been a fan of the great YouTube information and would love to try out the tools. Well, you got it, fella. They are yours for the next month. And finally, Clay Miller. This is the result I sought. Thanks to Stochastic and my Premium Plus FC subscription takedown. $1 brought 50, first to 356. Yes, thanks to the tools. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We've got it right here for you. All you got to do, download the Stochastic profile picture at stochastic.com/avatar. Tweet your wins at Stochastic HOF. Get that free month, Stochastic Plus Platinum, and get inducted.
What is happening, everybody? It is finally time for the NBA Finals, game one of the finals. And Eric, I have a surprise for you. What do you think it could be?
Stupid hat.
Oh, yeah. We ran a poll by Pop because who do we do these shows for, Eric?
The people.
We do these shows for the people. So I put a poll up. By the way, credit to Eric Johnson, who asked me, are you going to wear the hat for the start of the NBA Finals? And I said, this is not for me to decide. This is not for Eric to decide. This is not for Jordan Klein to decide. This is for the people to decide. So I put a poll up on Twitter, and overwhelmingly, the people wanted me to bring the bucket hat back for the NBA Finals. I do what the people want. We're wearing the hat. We're excited about it. Eric's excited about it. Jordan's excited about it. Although before the show started, Jordan, he has to leave to go take a shit. He comes back, goes, are you guys ready now? As if we weren't just waiting for him for 7 minutes to empty his bowels out. But anyway, we've got everything going on here. We're sponsored by Sleeper. The finals are starting. Come in here, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Eric, you look thrilled to be here.
You have more energy than me today. It's a little off-putting. I'm not sure what to do with it. It's like opposite day, but it's also just like, I don't know. You're freaking me out a little bit.
So I have had a lung infection for the last week and a half now. I've been taking antibiotics. I've been taking steroids. I finished taking my medication today. And I'm finally feeling like normal-ish for the first time in a really long time. And I'm actually quite excited about it.
It's great. I'm ecstatic. I'm losing my voice today. So this will be a great, we're kind of going in opposite directions of how we're feeling, but I'm obviously very excited about the NBA Finals. I'm excited about massive contests. I'm excited about the chance to win $1 million like most people are here today. And then excited to be able to talk Sleeper. First time I've had an opportunity to be on a show that they've sponsored. So really cool product. Happy to be talking about them too.
And if you sign up at Sleeper using the link we have below, not only do you get a bonus on your first deposit, have you seen the kind of multipliers they have on
pretty wild?
Crazy. So you get up to $100 bonus on your first deposit when you sign up using the link below for Sleeper. They have payouts up to 100x over at Sleeper. You're not going to find that anywhere else. A 100x you could get over at Sleeper. So go take advantage of that. Minimum deposit, $20, but still, you probably want to take advantage of the 100 because they're going to match we put in up to that $100 and get access to all the different stat contests they have there. They've got basketball, they've got baseball, got the NBA Finals to talk about here as well, of course, Eric. And any hot takes you have coming into the series, Nuggets, Heat, how do you feel it's going to play out?
No, we're both very surprised Miami's here. I think that's fair to say. I think most people are. We've talked a lot about that previous series where, just unpredictable things were constantly happening. I think there's one constant, though, and that's Nikola Jokic is just better at basketball than other people, than all of the people on the planet. So it's pretty difficult to get away from thinking that Nikola Jokic isn't going to just continue doing what he's been doing. He's had a triple-double in 6 of his last 8 now in the playoffs. Yes, this is going to be an interesting matchup as far as pace goes, but even still, I just don't see any way that a basketball team on the planet stops Nikola Jokic with his skill set. And I think that just creates open opportunities. And yeah, if Miami shoots it like they did the entire last series, or at least for 4 games of the last series, you're probably going to have some competitive games. But if you don't, there's just going to be so many more wide open looks for the Denver Nuggets. I think there's going to be easier opportunities to score. And their star, haven't seen him fade away from being a major impact player in every single game throughout this entire postseason, even if he's not putting up 40 or 35 or something of that nature. So excited to see how Jimmy Butler reacts to a new series here because, the Celtics series, as much as they were able to get through, kind of surprised that, he's like the de facto MVP there. It makes sense. He's the best player on that team. But I think that the 2 stars here, they're going to need Jimmy Butler to play out of his mind to compete with Nikola Jokic.
Did you see what the voting was for the Eastern Conference MVP?
I did not.
Jimmy Butler beat Caleb Martin by 1 vote. So
I didn't see that.
It was very, very close. I thought it should have been Caleb Martin, a little biased because I bet Caleb Martin 43-1 to win MVP prior to that game. So I was certainly biased in the equation, but I
1 vote from 43-1. That's so gross.
Yeah, I felt he should have won. It's hard for me to remove bias, but if you look at the numbers, I really did think Caleb Martin played better. Obviously, the better player is Jimmy Butler, which people are like, how can you think Caleb Martin's better than Jimmy Butler? I'm not saying that. I thought in the last series, Caleb Martin played better than Jimmy Butler, but Caleb Martin played better than everybody. He was ridiculous. He shot, I don't even remember what his shooting splits were, but they were insane. they were insane. He made every single shot. So it's just a scenario where I thought he should have won, and not anything that's repeatable. I like him for this series, given what his price point is, and when we talk about him for DFS today. But yeah, I mean, he shot, like, what did he shoot from the field in the final game? Like 13 of 17 or something ridiculous?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up here. Caleb Martin, 45 minutes. True shooting percentage of 813.
And then
pretty
just
good. 81.3%. He was, I had the advanced box score up because that's what uploads to my sheet. 11 for 16. That seems good.
And then overall for the series, just going
basketball. Yeah, basketball reference is being weird for me. I can't. Okay, thank you.
So listen to this.
Series summary. There it is.
Just his normal shooting split. Yep. Caleb Martin last series shot 60.2% from the field, 48.9% from three, 87.5% from the free throw line. Right? Just absurd numbers. Nothing that's repeatable. Nothing that we think is sustainable.
73.8% true shooting percentage, 72.7% effective field goal percentage. What? And that was only on 18.2% usage.
Yeah, he just made every single shot he took. It was absolute absurdity.
Unreal.
I don't expect it to continue, which is why my official pick for this NBA Finals, sweep, Denver in 4.
Yep.
I'm going with. So the other thing, too, that I think is huge coming into this series is that Miami was pretty banged up at the end of the last series. Something that I thought really contributed to Jimmy Butler not playing well in the last couple games of the series. Like he wasn't limping as bad as Jason Tatum was in Game 7, but he didn't look 100%. It's such a big advantage that Denver was able to get the Lakers out of there quickly, get everybody rested, get everybody to 100%. Where you got a lot of nagging injuries on the Heat side of the game. That's going to benefit Denver. And then also, I just think Denver is the more talented and better team here. So I'm going to go with Denver. And then, sorry, one more thing. I said one more thing, another thing that I wanted to add at the end of it.
You are on one.
Correlated with the unsustainable shooting of Caleb Martin, there is no way Miami continues to shoot like 50% from three every game, combined with the fact that every single game the Celtics were shooting like 25% from three that series. So I think the shooting regresses back more to normal. If the Heat are going to shoot 50% from three every game in the series and Denver shoots 20%, then sure, Miami could certainly win, but I can't reasonably expect that to happen.
Tyler Hero will be a fun guy to talk about for game. It sounds like he was on pace for Game 3. Sounds like he's going to get moved to Game 2. I think that'll throw a whole wrench in the system there. Excited to see where his price ends up from a DFS perspective from that, and just adds another guy on the floor who can maybe knock down shots. Although I didn't think he was all that good this season, so it should be an interesting talking point coming up. But as for this one, I'm with you. It's hard to envision a scenario where Denver loses a game. I still am just going to say Denver in 5 because there's like an outlier game for Miami. It seems like every series or last series there were 4 of them. Gonna be a fun watch if Jimmy Butler can just get back to what he was doing before the Celtics series.
Do you have any series bets that you like before we start?
Yeah, I thought about it. 6-1. I was tempted. Maybe I clicked the button here. Now that you've kind of set the table for it, that you're so confident about it, you've kind of made your hay in whether it's awards betting or in series betting, always these markets that might be a little bit less efficient. So if you're on it, I think I'm going to join it too.
Here's the bet that I like the most for this series is you could parlay the Denver Nuggets to win Game 1 and to win the series on DraftKings, and it's minus 205.
That's wild because it's minus 400 on DraftKings right now.
But if you parlay them to win Game 1 with them to win the series, there's a correlation there.
That's very true.
A bet. I threw it into our chalkboard channel. It's free to download chalkboard. There's a link for that below if you guys want to check it out. Lofty and I post some bets in there, but that's something that I like for just a series play.
Love it.
And there we go. El Negro Loco. We got the news god in the chat. You got the Gilligan hat. You're damn right I do. Tip of the hat. All right, let's start reading some of these super chats that we have.
So much.
Because I did ask Jordan to send them to me because there was a lot of participation, a lot of super chats coming in, but I couldn't tell which ones were for the guys on the last show, which ones were for us. So let's start banging these out. If you guys have any questions for us in Discord, at me. Starting here, 3, Windy, 1, City, 2. Favorite 2 plays for 1,200 or less on DK. Do you have 2 punt plays that you like for DraftKings purposes tonight, Eric?
Not really, if we're going to be honest about it. I think we're forcing in some just because you want to get exposure to Jokic and the captain. It would almost feel foolish on a slate like this if you're making a bunch of lineups not to have that. So by default, you have to go down to some players. The guy that I'm cheapest on is Jeff Green, 2,200. I think he at least sees rotational minutes. And then Haywood Highsmith, 1,400 for him as well. Cody Zeller's kind of an interesting talking point. He ends up playing 2 minutes, 4 minutes there in the closeout games in games 5 and 6, and then he doesn't see the floor whatsoever in game 7. I don't know what to make of him and Kevin Love's minutes. Seeing the starting lineup, that makes it pretty clear when we do that Kevin Love is going to be a very risky option. Same thing with Cody Zeller, just because he's going to be playing backup 5. But I don't really want to be getting to the 1K players on this slate. I've built out quite a few lineups for DK purposes, playing the Millie, playing the $4, and I'm just not really finding myself into the 1K range whatsoever. Still trying to make those bottom end players be the guys that I get to, but God, they're just pulling so much ownership that I feel as though I'm just going to be underweight to them as well. Jeff Green, Haywood Highsmith, Cody Zeller. I don't have a lot of this range. I'm trying to get different with some captain plays, prioritizing KCP, who I think is underowned at 5,600 for him. Kyle Lowry, 5,200. I'm just getting up a little bit. And I think that just forcing in some of those type plays with Jokic and the captain makes a lot more sense to me.
Christian Brown and Cody Zeller for me. Zeller, I'm not going to say a wide range of outcomes because 0 to 8 minutes isn't that wide of a range. But I do think there's an opportunity here for him to just have to play backup center minutes. We just saw Miami come out of a grueling series, and I know it's the NBA Finals, but do they really want to go out and play Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo 45, 46 minutes in game 1 coming off that series? I tend to think not. And if that's the case, Cody Zeller comes back into the rotation as the backup center, and he's only projected for 13% ownership. So I like Cody Zeller for that purpose. And then Christian Brown, just because I think he's somebody who's going to be in the rotation, at least in a minor role for the Denver Nuggets. So the question was 2 players we like for 1,200 or under. Those are my 2 favorite.
I get it. For me, I'm kind of getting to just different builds that are getting away from getting to a lot of those cheapies, because I think there's just so much duplication, because you're just looking at Jokic in the captain, and then you're looking at those pieces together to make it work in order to play a Jamal Murray, a Bam Adebayo, a Jimmy Butler, getting some combination of those 2 along with them. And that kind of creates a build that I'm not in love with.
Next super chat from Michael Bernier. He wants to know, other than Jokic, who's your favorite captain? And thank you. So I'm actually overweight to the field on Jokic. I think Jokic is being underutilized right now. It's 25% projected ownership, but we get in the second most exposure to at the captain spot.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I talk about the builds, I like playing Jokic in the captain. I think it would be foolish not to. And then I'm just finding ways to not be playing Murray, Adebayo, Butler in kind of in congruence with him, getting away from the stars and scrubs build, getting a little bit more in that mid-range of a lot of those players. We've seen some pretty pronounced upside for Caleb Martin. We've seen some other pieces there, but I think for me, I'm just a little bit surprised that Gabe Vincent's down at 2.3%. He's 8,700. And well, anybody who's in that starting unit who can come out and flamethrow, I know that it was, for previous games, you had Caleb Martin go completely nuts, and then Kyle Lowry came out on the floor there. But if Gabe Vincent comes out and knocks down shots, he played 41 minutes there in that game 6. There's a wide range of outcomes for what I believe his minutes can be, because, well, if Kyle Lowry comes in and plays as bad as he did at times, you're going to see him play the lion's share of it. If it's competitive, there's that too. I think anybody that's going to be playing as many minutes as Gabe Vincent could, who's sitting around 2%, I feel exponentially better taking that kind of a shot than other pieces. Now, I guess my second favorite captain period is going to be Jimmy Butler, just because he's a star. Jamal Murray and Bam Adebayo are pulling more ownership. And, well, you can still play Jokic. You're still getting to a little bit of a thin build there. But I think the one that's the most under-owned is going to be Gabe Vincent.
I find Jimmy Butler very difficult to get for, just from a salary perspective. He is
tough.
So expensive today.
He's 900 away from Jokic.
Yeah, it's rough.
In the captain.
Away.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
In the captain. We're talking captain, right?
Yeah. So expensive. Here's a pivot play that I like. My favorite pivot play on the entire slate. A lot of people, I think, are just going to click on Caleb Martin. And by the way, rightfully so, considering all the minutes and the role he played in last game. Who's the better fantasy producer, given the larger sample size? Caleb Martin or Michael Porter Jr.?
Michael Porter Jr. for sure.
Michael Porter Jr. is $200 away from Caleb Martin and is projected for less ownership. If you have a lineup that has a few $100 salary, just go to Michael Porter Jr. instead of Caleb Martin. I think
like that.
I think that's such a sensible pivot for today. Think if you were telling yourself a month ago, just a normal slate, Caleb Martin, Michael Porter Jr. are the same price. In what world are you clicking on Caleb Martin? He's been great lately. I just said I thought he should win MVP, but it's because he shot like 50% from three last series. I don't think that's sustainable. Michael Porter Jr. might just shoot 50% from three on open threes, and it wouldn't even be all that insane considering how good of a shooter he is. So I really like MPJ as a pivot off of Caleb Martin.
Yeah, and I think this is actually a really good series for Michael Porter Jr. He's one of the guys in the utility I'm the most overweight to. I think the captain, the reason you laid that out is perfect. And we're kind of thinking the same thing where I think Michael Porter Jr., he's going to be matched up in a slow-paced matchup where it's going to be hard for him to really be taken advantage of defensively, I think. It's going to be a lot of knockdown threes in his face if there's anything, but he's not going to get beat off the dribble by a lot of these guys. Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, guys of that nature that might switch onto him. Like if they try to switch Jimmy Butler onto him, I think that there's ways that he's still long. He can still at least like create matchups where he's at least driving Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler he can sag on him and get some help defense if Jimmy Butler isn't a willing three-point shooter. I think Jimmy Butler's three-point shooting might be a pretty underrated part of this series. Considering he went 2 for 4, 3 for 7, they at least made him shoot it at the tail end of that Celtics series. But Michael Porter Jr., I don't see a lot of ways that he gets exposed defensively here, like he did at times in the Phoenix series. The Minnesota series, I mean, he was playing massive minutes throughout there too. They kind of put him on Kyle Anderson or other guys like that, and he was just fine. But I think he stays on the floor a lot here. I like that you're bullish on him because I am too.
And here's the other big part of this. Is let's say the Miami Heat go back and they play the same zone defense they played against the Boston Celtics, and they just say, go ahead and shoot open threes. I dare you to let Michael Porter Jr. catch and shoot and make open threes.
Bad idea.
He doesn't miss him. He doesn't miss him. He is one of the best catch and shoot shooters that we have in the NBA. So I think he's a really good pivot off of Caleb Martin right there in the mid-range.
I'm completely
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to expand on that and give you the actual numbers. I mean, in terms of true shooting this season, last year, he was one of the worst shooters in the NBA, second percentile. He improved that drastically. You want to talk about Jamal Murray opening things up for other pieces. Him being on the floor opens it up for a 6'10 Michael Porter Jr. to go out with a 62.3% true shooting percentage. That was above 80th percentile in basketball this season. And from three, 92nd percentile, 41.4%. So Michael Porter Jr. confirmed. Good at shooting the basketball. The back's good. Yay.
Yeah, and he was basically broken last year. Like, I don't really put any
he was
stock
hurt and it was bad. Yeah.
Andrew Black has left us a super chat here. Brown and Gordon or Pope and Jeff. I have 7,900 with 2 spots left. Lineup is already very contrarian.
Second one by a mile.
He's already very contrarian. Brown and Gordon or Pope and Jeff Green. You're going with Pope and Jeff Green?
Definitely.
Yeah, I could get on board with that. I like Christian Brown for certain large field tournament builds, but like if you're already contrarian, you don't need to go and jam Christian Brown in there at mid price or anything like that.
He could play 0 minutes. So I'm going to go to the side that I don't think plays 0 minutes.
3, Windy 1, City 2. The bucket hat is a must.
Oh my God.
You, sir.
Just
favorite
shoot
2
me.
players priced $1,200 or less on. Well, didn't we already get this one? Yeah, he did. He left us the same super chat twice. Favorite. Oh, okay. Well, either way, favorite 2 players priced at $1,200. In case people missed us saying it before, I went with Cody Zeller and Christian Brown. It's not like a massive vote of confidence. Just he's asking me to give my 2 favorite $1,200 less, and there aren't that many options to pick.
That is true.
The next question from Michael Bernier. Eric, just for you, take Inchinicia every day? I don't know. What is this in reference to? Did I just say something I wasn't supposed to say? Am I canceled now?
Let me find it. I'm not going to obviously say the words. I don't know what it is. Eric, just for you, take something.
All right. Well, he wants you to take this dietary supplement.
I'm probably okay, but thank you so much.
Okay. There we go. Medical advice from Michael Bernier, who, listen, if I hear somebody giving medical advice on the internet, I assume it's accurate.
Yeah, me
Every
too.
single time. I've never been led astray by the internet. The Thunder. Is that a lampshade on your head, Greg? It is not. It is actually one of the most stylish hats out there. It is from the official swag bag for Memorial Day from DraftKings. And that's how you know that you got swag when you wear it, because it was called a swag bag. It came with this. It came with some sunglasses that I might have lost already, as well as some other stuff. There was
mine's at the UPS store because I was out of town for a week and freaking still haven't brought it to me yet. I have to go pick it up. Perhaps that sucks.
Oh, imagine, guys, next show, what if we get Eric in that?
Honestly, there's nothing that I could imagine worse than having. I mean, there's tip to tip, but like that would be the end of me. I can't wear that hat. I refuse.
Peer pressure, guys. This is going to be our next thing. We're going to get Eric to wear a bucket hat on the show next time.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
I'm not Joel Dahman. No, thank you.
Riley Cooper, 14. Could Jimmy outscore Jokic tonight?
It's very unlikely, but for me, what it comes down to, so I should probably expand upon this. When I'm playing the Jimmy Butler captain lineups, and I have 12% of them right now, so I'm like 2% above the field on it, I am making sure that I'm not leaving more than $1,000 in salary on the table where it could be a Jokic swap for Jimmy Butler, mainly because I think that the path to being optimal and having this worked out and being underutilized is you get to builds that are exclusively incapable of having Nikola Jokic as the captain because of salary constraints. So I'm getting to some of those cheapies. I do have Haywood Highsmith in a lot of those freaking lineups here right now. That's really uncomfortable, but it is what it is. Playing that with Jimmy Butler, and then Jokic is still in the utility in quite a few of those, like almost all of them.
Yeah, so the answer is clearly yes. Like there's obviously a scenario where he outscores.
Yeah, it's like 1 in 7.
Not a zero.
If 1 in 1.5 and 7.
Here's what I think though. The ownership gap between them does not justify how much better of a play Jokic is than Jimmy Butler.
Probably agree with that.
We've got Jokic projected for 25% captain ownership. We've got Jimmy Butler at 10%. I think it should be a bigger gap between the two. Same, if you look at him, the utility, Butler 44%. You got Jokic 68.6%. We'll round that up to a cool 69%. Jokic should have a bigger ownership gap between him and Jimmy Butler. You go over to FanDuel. Jokic is projected for 46.5% MVP ownership. Butler 27.6%. That should be wider. It is not. It's not 2-1. It's way bigger, in my opinion, 2-1 that Jokic outscores Jimmy Butler. So just based on that, I'm overweight to the field on Jokic right now. I'm not playing a ton of Jimmy Butler relative to where the field is. I get there's a case for him. I'm just going to differentiate elsewhere, leaving salary on the table, going to some other guys, doing some little pivots like Michael Porter Jr. over Caleb Martin. But it's, to me, anything's possible. But in the context of your question, I think very strongly we're most likely to see Jokic outscore Butler. We've got Michael
the Nuggets starting lineup. We did not get the...
Yeah. Murray, Caldwell,
Here it is.
Porter Jr., Gordon, Jokic. Do you expect any changes from the Heat in their starting lineup?
Nope, and we just got it. So Vincent, Strus, Butler, Martin, Adebayo. Thank God. That's all I wanted to see.
I saw some people in chat speculating, will Kevin Love start back over Caleb Martin?
Nope.
It wasn't going to happen considering how well we saw Caleb Martin play in the last series. You know, maybe if they had to do a change, maybe like Kyle Lowry moves into the starting lineup, but it doesn't matter. We got the starting lineup. He isn't in it. Like you said, Vincent, Strus, Butler, Martin, Adebayo. And then Michael Bernier, a follow-up, said it's an herb for your immune system.
The more you know.
There we go. All right. So whatever we call it, was it enchilada? If I'm not mistaken.
Something. It sounds delicious. Maybe I do want it.
Yep. They're herbs for your immune systems. Enchiladas. That's just good science right there. Let's go and check out the Discord channel and see what questions we have in there from you guys. One of the perks of being a Stochastic Plus Platinum member, if you guys are subscribed to our site, you get access to our Discord channel. You get to ask us questions. You get to troll us. You get to pressure Eric into wearing bucket hats on shows.
Nope.
So come and check it out. Anyway, Zach Attack on FanDuel, Murray or Butler at the star spot? Murray or Butler?
See, that's a fun one because I think FanDuel, I'm not playing FanDuel today because I just didn't have the time to be able to put into it, but I think it's a really fun build over there because, well, we've seen Caleb Martin now work out optimally there back-to-back slates, I believe, in that star spot where he was in Boston. This is a completely different series, but now the salary constraint of looking at Jokic over on FanDuel, 17.5 and Butler at 16K, it's really fun to try to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your lineup there. Caleb Martin's now 12K over there. If I were playing over on FanDuel today, I would be getting away from a lot of that. And Michael Porter Jr. is actually $500 more expensive. I believe a little bit softer pricing on DK for pieces that aren't Jokic and Butler. I mean, Butler's just insanely expensive on DK, but looking at some of the numbers there, I like Aaron Gordon as somebody to try to get super contrarian with. You get the bump for blocks and steals. He's just 10K. And we've just seen routinely people are just not willing to go down and play people that are 12,000 and cheaper in that second spot, that star spot. And so as you're moving your way down the board, just think about the easiest way to get contrarian with something that looks super chalky is flip-flopping, a Bam Adebayo that might be in your star with an Aaron Gordon who might be in your pro. And so I kind of think about it that way. And looking at the ownerships right now, Jimmy Butler, I probably would be shying away from too many builds like that, because once you go Jokic Butler, it's just so hard to get different without getting a little bit stupid. So I'm probably going to go away from that on FanDuel.
Just given what the nature of the question is, Murray versus Butler, it's hard for me to say Murray over Butler, especially when you consider that they have comparable ownership in the star spot. So if it's just like a 1v1 in that scenario, I would go with Jimmy Butler, leave some salary on the table. I assume that means you have Jokic as the MVP. Jokic MVP, Butler star, get different in the pro spot, leave some salary on the table. But it's just a 1v1. It's hard for me to advocate for Jamal Murray over Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, there's like over 11 point. It's 11 point difference between the two. So
and the same ownership pretty much.
Yeah. So there you go. That should help out a little bit, but I would try to get away from zeroing that out just for the sake of like, I wouldn't be playing lineups over on FanDuel that didn't have Jokic. And so then over with Butler, you're just running into a lot of duplication if you zero it out.
Draft Keem wants to know favorite captain for single entry on DK and favorite utility play. So I didn't necessarily name him my favorite before, but it is Michael Porter Jr. as my favorite captain for single entry. If you're just trying to be optimal, the answer is Jokic. But as you guys know, when we've done these shows, I try to give an answer that's a little bit different when I get this question. And MPJ is the guy that stands out to me. But Eric, if you're building one lineup in a single entry contest, DraftKings captain, which way would you be going?
If I were building one I would be going Jokic, and I know that's just what it is. It is what it is. I'm not playing single entry today, just the large field stuff.
Not bad. We've got a question here from Rosso Music said, hey, fellas, would you go Lowry and Gordon or Duncan and Porter Jr. on DK?
It's tough because I like one side of both sides.
Let me look at what I don't feel like I
the Duncan Robinson one. I think his minutes are very volatile because we've seen now back-to-back games where he wasn't going to play over 20 minutes if he didn't go nuts in that final rotation in both of them. He was incredibly efficient in games 6 and 7, closing out those games. I don't expect that to be the norm going forward, but I like the Michael Porter Jr. side of that more than anything. I think we're both on him there in terms of utility. I mean, it's so close for me between those two.
I'm going to go with but it's not even just that they're close. It's like they're close for similar reasons, right? Because I feel the same way about Lowry that I do about Duncan Robinson. There's absolutely a scenario where Lowry closes the game, scores a good amount of fantasy points and plays 30 plus minutes. Same with Aaron Gordon. I was bringing this up last series, and I know it's been a while since you saw Denver play because they
1994.
Everybody. But Aaron, do you remember All-Star break? People were outraged that Aaron Gordon didn't make the All-Star game. Nobody even brought up Jamal Murray as a potential All-Star. That's how good of a season Aaron Gordon had in the regular season. And, he's trailed off a little bit in the playoffs. Part of that is because of the more usage that's gone towards Jamal Murray. But the closeout game against the Lakers, we saw Aaron Gordon back to being Aaron Gordon, playing big minutes, had his normal role. The usage was up. I'm going to lean towards the Lowry Gordon side. I think it has a little bit more upside, but I think both those are pretty good combinations from Rosso Music.
Aaron Gordon's probably the most underrated defender in the NBA as well. Like, people don't think about him that way for whatever reason. I don't think the public does, at least. Aaron Gordon's incredible on the defensive end, and I believe he's like 95th or 96th percentile over on dunks and threes in terms of that number. He's outrageously good defensively. And so whether it was LeBron James or in this series, I'm sure he'll get some Jimmy Butler assignments at times. He can play bigs because he's 6'9" and pretty wide. He can play and stay in front of guards. Like, he's just such a weapon defensively. He has been pretty much from the jump. He had some lackluster years in Orlando when he was asked to do more offensively, but my God, this has been his best defensive season by far in the NBA.
I actually think the most underrated defender might be Jokic, just because the general public sentiment is that he's dog shit on defense when he's like average.
It's like 60. Yeah, he's average, but I'm underrated. Aaron Gordon, I don't think people think of him as like elite, and he's like elite.
Yeah, I'm just saying the other side, people think that Jokic is like the worst defender ever, and he's like by all advanced metrics, he's like around average. The Nuggets have had an average defense pretty much the entire time he's been the starting center for them. So a lot of indications just around average, and people don't think of him that way. But yeah, Gordon's great. The next question we have is from the Real AD. He wants to know, who is the player who is most over touted for today's game? That's
Caleb
really hard
Martin,
for me to
probably
say, because it's not like I watch all of the content around the industry to know like who's touting which player. We could say who's the most over-owned. By the way, as an added thing, because somebody in the chat said that it's Christian Braun, and we're saying it wrong. It's spelled.
It's Brown.
It's pronounced Brown. He spells his name wrong. His parents are idiots. I don't know why they spell it that way, but it's pronounced Braun. It's pronounced Brown. It's spelled Braun. Anyway,
there you go.
Leah, let's just answer this. Who's the most over-owned player? Because I can't really speak to like who everybody's talking about on every show around the industry.
Kind of a weird answer, I think. Let me refresh to make sure. I would say it's Christian Braun. I mean, he's got to be up there, mainly because he's just the de facto 1K player. I get it. He's definitely the one who's the most likely to get out there. But similar to what you talked about last series, too, I think Omer Yurtseven makes an interesting 1K pivot. If this game gets wonky, which there's a very good chance it gets wonky when you're looking at a 9-point spread and what Denver's been capable of doing to other teams. And, well, Miami overall, for all intents and purposes, isn't nearly the caliber of Denver. I think that just ends up being somebody that everybody's comfortable clicking at over 20% of the lineup showing up with him as the 1K player. I'd be happy to spread that to other pieces if I were making more than 40 lineups, which I'm not. So I think he's probably the guy that I would be getting away from at that kind of a number. And then somebody who's more prominent, I think we both kind of are in agreement. Caleb Martin, he might end up 45% based on what we saw last series. I mean, there might be some comfortable clicks by other people there. And I think there's a lot more variance for a 0.75 fantasy point per minute producer during the regular season. And a guy who only had 18% usage in the last series. That's just kind of the thing that's standing in the back of my head. I would probably go Caleb Martin for somebody who's pulling actual ownership. And then from a game theory perspective, getting away from Christian Braun.
If you guys want to play Caleb Martin, here's the place to do it. Sleeper is sponsoring our show today. Mentioned it before. You sign up using the link below, up to $100 bonus on your first deposit. And they also have plays up to 100-1 on some of the parlays they have over there. The over-under on Caleb Martin's points they had for tonight is 0.5. Right? So you and I are kind of going back and forth. You know, Caleb Martin, what can we expect from him? Should he be an MVP last time out? I know what I feel good about, and that's going to score 1 point today. So over 0.5 points for Caleb Martin over at Sleeper. I do like that. As for my answer to the Real AD's question, who the most overrated / over touted player in the game is, I'm going to go with Jimmy Butler. He's projected for a massive amount of ownership. He's super expensive, $13,400 on DraftKings. I just find him difficult to get up to, and he's projected to be nearly half the field's lineups.
I'm going to take him out of my captain lineups. You've talked me into it. I get the case for it, and now when you look at the raw projection, like the difference between him and Jokic, I think I'm just happier playing Jokic and finding ways to leave salary on the table and avoid some of the duplication and kind of let the chips fall where they may there than I am trying to make Jimmy Butler inside of $900 left with the same kind of scrubs. I think I might be forcing myself into a lot of similar builds as other people doing it that way too. So I think I'm just going to take him out of the captain now. He's not the captain now.
Super draft for my Phil Arc, Thick Lowry, or the 62 rated NBA 2K regen Strus. So I didn't know what Max Strus was rated in NBA 2K. Apparently he's dog shit in that game. Did they give Kyle Lowry a fat booty in the game at least? Hopefully they've got some
fat
stuff.
Booty Judy. There. Let's go. Big booty.
I prefer Lowry today.
Yeah, I'm taking the shot on Lowry. I mean, this is just going to be fun. I think the Millie, you're going to figure out there's going to be somebody, I think, on the Heat that just surprises us, and I'm just hoping it's not Caleb Martin.
Next question is from Jay. Thoughts on Porter at captain in the middle? Yeah, talked about him before. I've really liked Porter as a contrarian captain play. I think he's a good one to go to. Sean Sullivan Jr., Highsmith or Zeller, if you could only have one. I don't know that either of them are going to be in the rotation, so just give me Zeller for half the ownership.
Okay, that's fair.
Three
I'm
Windy,
still
one,
playing Highsmith. So
3 Windy, 1 City, 2. Reggie getting run with Miami having 6 guards. I don't expect it.
nope, either.
Yeah, I'm not playing Reggie Jackson. If he gets run, it's probably because it's a blowout. That's the blowout,
Yep.
foul trouble, injury.
Yep.
I don't expect him to just be normally part of the game.
Same.
Next question here is from Einsteinium. Another one. Any MPJ captain love tonight? Yes, definitely like the MPJ captain.
I like him for utility, everything. I have him everywhere.
Yeah,
for that.
looks like a lot of maybe he's going to be higher on than we think. Everybody's asking us questions about Michael Porter Jr.
Well, there we go. I will say he's kind of the guy that when you just look, if you're just looking on your phone, if you're hand building, if you're doing other things, it's really hard to look at the board and see Michael Porter Jr. as that guy who's just underneath Jokic, Butler, Murray, Adebayo, and then knowing his upside. I mean, it's a big, steep down, $2,400 difference between him and Adebayo. I have them projected very, very differently. I think most people do, but the difference is you can kind of easily get Jokic plus any one of those other guys, and it's not some ridiculously thin build. So I think you're right. He might end up being a little bit more popular than we think, but man, I'm taking that Gabe Vincent approach. I'm going to have some sick lineups today.
Next, well, not a question. This one's just a comment. The
That's
real
nice.
AD at Ehrenberg Greg wanted to say thank you both for your grinding all year long and helping us. He only tagged me, but I wanted to make sure to read off that he said thank you both. If he would, at first I saw it, I was like, oh cool, he's only thanking me. I could rub it in Eric's face, but he added in thank you both. So a real
I
AD.
see
Thank you.
winding, grinding.
Thank you.
Up on
Thank
that
you, real
pole.
AD.
Yeah, it's good.
Then we got Einsteinium, Bam, and Highsmith, or Gabe Vincent and KCP. Bam and Highsmith. I prefer Gabe Vincent and KCP. You, Eric? Bam and High.
I mean, the first one has, it just comes down, Highsmith, I don't know what to make of it. The second one is definitely more palatable. I will say that. The first one is just embracing risk, and that's what I'm doing with Highsmith. He's like the guy that I'm punting to, where I think you can leave $1,000 of salary on the table and it could just end up working out in your favor.
Which player? I've had this question locked and loaded, but then we got a bunch of questions from the audience that want to make sure that we got first from our Discord. Which player that was not in the rotation for either of these teams last game do you think is most likely, doesn't have to mean they will be in the rotation, but is most likely to enter the rotation tonight?
That's a great question. Let me pull up Denver because we got to go back to 1994. It was a great year. I was 7. We got to find that last Denver game to be able to adequately answer that. I think it's most likely Cody Zeller's in the rotation for Miami. I think that's pretty clear cut, right?
Yep, that's my answer for Miami. Denver's a tough one.
Yeah, this is a tough one, mainly because they've been playing 7-man rotation most of the time. I think the most likely guy is Christian Brown to re-enter, just because he's actually shown up and been that 8th guy. But I really don't see a scenario that this gets past 8 or 9 guys. If it did, I think the most likely. Yeah, I mean, DeAndre Jordan hasn't played forever. Thomas Bryant doesn't even have a pulse. Zeke Naji, Watson, yeah, I'm going to say Christian Brown for sure.
Yep, we've got the same answers. It's a tough one, right? Because there's nobody I'm super confident. I'd take I feel pretty confident in my Cody Zeller answer there, but the Denver side, I'm not sure because they also don't really have much incentive to change anything up. So
right.
Well, we'll see. Overall, though, Cody Zeller I think is the player who is most likely to be in the rotation for this game. Who's not in the rotation for either team in the last game. Super chat from Noah Rosen. Noah wants to know, is Love playing tonight? I'm nervous about him. I do not think so.
I don't think Love is either.
He could.
Yeah, I'm not going to put a 0% next to it. I think it's pretty likely that I think it's pretty likely he plays in this series at some point. I don't think it's tonight, coming off of how good they looked in Game 7 without him.
I'm going to go with no, but I'm not going to put it at a 0% outcome. I will say I'm not playing Kevin Love today. I don't have lineups with Kevin Love. Do you?
Let me check.
Actually, I should double check that. Do I have lineups?
I have 0% Kevin Love.
See,
can't wait to go watch him go out, knock down some threes, and play himself into the rotation. My big concern, and I think I said this the last couple games of the Boston Miami series, my big concern is always like fully fading a guy, and Miami goes down 15 at the end of the first quarter, and Spo is more than happy to just mix it up. Like he'll just go out and he'll shuffle the deck. He does whatever he wants to do at times. Like, Jimmy Butler, Bam, they've kind of earned the right to play 44 minutes whenever, but like, I don't think they play 44 minutes in game one here. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but more than likely, it's something where Duncan Robinson is going to play either 10 or 25 minutes. I don't think it ends up being like a Kevin Love is going to play 10 or 0 kind of a thing. I'm definitely thinking it's more likely he doesn't see the floor, but maybe that's like 60-40.
What's funny is I was just looking through my lineups. I don't have any that I entered with Kevin Love. If I was playing one more lineup tonight, Kevin Love would have been in the next lineup.
Oh,
as
that's
I was
sick.
looking through. But yeah,
that's always fun.
No lineups with him for me. Luke Stone, how viable is KCP at captain today? If you're just looking for a mid-range guy to be contrarian with, sure. But like if you're playing one lineup, KCP isn't who I would play in that lineup at captain.
Agreed.
How many? I have 3% of him at captain.
That's nice.
Did you end up with any kind of significant amount of him at captain?
This is not coming up. Give me 1 second.
All right. No, I didn't think I was asking like an SAT question.
Oh, no. I was just in the middle of sorting, and it was a thing where sometimes Excel just decides to be slow on me, and it is what it is.
It is, it takes after its user. Let's see if we go back into Discord and have any questions there. If not, let's go and try to find tip of the cap. Let's see if we could find some bets for the people as well after we wrap up and answer some of these questions. We've got one here from Swanson79. He wants me to ask you if you would walk into Scarlett O'Hara's wearing the bucket hat for $100.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, I would.
All right, that is a yes.
It's pretty easy.
If you guys are wondering what Eric's price is, it's much lower than $100 based on how quickly he answered that.
That's a pretty easy thing to do. It's more of just like, I'm not at my place of work currently with over 1,500 people watching me be a doofus. And that's what you are.
I'm not trying to be anything other.
My coworker currently is wearing a Lilo and Stitch t-shirt that's three sizes too big for him. My boss. And he's wearing a bucket hat that makes him look like, Speckler from Caddyshack. What are we doing here?
And you answer to me. The real AD. If you could, who would you play in one lineup asking for a friend? Who are the 3 players you would say are most important to the slate that you can't go without?
Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and Bam Adebayo.
Jokic. Like, I've really liked Michael Porter Jr. as a contrarian play, but it's not like he's in.
I mean, if I'm playing Jokic as the captain, I'm playing a lot of Michael Porter Jr. to go with it. I need something down there that isn't just one of those main studs. And then just because it's hard for me to get into the Butler Murray tier, I'm hoping one of them doesn't completely eviscerate this slate now looking at my lineups because, well, I'm underweight to both of them. That's going to be fun.
I'll say Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr.
Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter. Okay, got it.
It's tough. It's a tough one to answer there. But anyway, thank you guys for those questions. Do we have any super chat? Oh, we just got some super chats in. So we're going to have to hold up a second, but I will shout out that if you guys are looking for bets for today, if you're looking for bets, go and check out NBA Bet Pro. It also includes MLB bets. So don't think you're signing up and you're only getting basketball bets for a few slates. You're getting NBA, you're getting baseball. And if you sign up using the link that we have below, you get access to it $24.95 for 30 days. And it is going to make you back the money that you put into it. We've already seen some of the people who have signed up have had a lot of success. Somebody sent us a screenshot on Twitter the other day, Hutch Boy. Listen to the results that he had. Just in May, he made right around $3,000. He's always active in our chalkboard community. He follows all the tools at OddsShopper, all the tools we have at BetPro. He's posting bets in there. He's showing us our results. Nearly $3,000. The tool is paid for itself when he signed up for it. And like I said, $24.95 on the trial period for 1 month. So go sign up for that below, guys. And I am really confident that it's going to make you back your money and then some. Super chats. Ace of Spade. Ace of Spade wants to know Gordon captain and Caleb Martin at utility, or MPJ at captain and Gabe Vincent at utility. Give me the latter.
Give me the latter for sure. I am so high on Gabe Vincent and Michael Porter Jr. for this slate.
Malcolm Revamp wants to know Michael Porter Jr. and Caleb Martin, or Gordon for the pro spot on FanDuel. So MPJ, Martin, or Gordon for the pro spot on FanDuel. Let me look at my
MPJ, Martin, or Gordon. I would definitely go Gordon.
That is
MPJ, yeah.
Yep, that's Gordon for me as well.
Yep.
Gordon over
FanDuel scoring, what the upside looks like for Aaron Gordon. It looks like 3 blocks, 3 steals, and we move along our merry way.
And did we have no other super chats? So let's see if we could find some bets in Bet Pro now before we get to lock. So I'm going to refresh all the data and see what the most recent lines are. Eric and I talked about at the top of the show, just kind of general bets that we might like for the series. The one that was my favorite, which I'm not exactly sure still on the board, but it was earlier in the day because I posted it as a bet, was minus 205 for the Denver Nuggets to win the series outright and to win game 1. I like the correlation there. Let's see what else is looking good. Here's one that I know I liked earlier. Trying to find if it's still there. Aaron Gordon opened up at over 20.5 PRA. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, that's pretty big.
It's not there anymore, unfortunately. No more Aaron Gordon over 20.5 PRA. We do have Jamal Murray over 5.5 assists available, though. That's another one that I bet earlier in the day. It's a little bit of juice here now, but still over 5.5 assists for Jamal Murray, minus 122 on FanDuel. We do that with a 7% expected EV there. Jamal Murray over 5.5 assists. Is that a number you could get behind, or anything else that stands out?
Yeah, over 5.5 assists is something that I threaded on a couple of cards that I put together for across the entire industry. In fact, it's kind of the prevailing number. Think that's a good one to be on. One bet that I made today, Nikola Jokic triple double. That's been like my calling card since the beginning, since January 1st. You saw the health of Jamal Murray increase. And as that happened, floor spacing opened and Michael Porter Jr. was shooting the ball exponentially better than last year. And everything kind of said, start jamming Nikola Jokic. And that's kind of been the calling card of our premium Discord for the last 6 months. There is no time to be stopping now. I know that it's now sitting minus 110, but it was minus 135, minus 140 at certain points of that Lakers series with Anthony Davis playing defense. There's nothing that's going to stop me from continuing to fire that one. He does everything at a ridiculous clip. 6 of his last 8 continues to just put up these triple doubles. It's playoff time. The minutes have ramped up. I feel really good about that one.
Malcolm Revamp wants to know Butler, Murray, or Bam in the star spot. So he's building his lineup out on FanDuel. If you're just picking one guy, I mean, I don't know how you don't answer Jimmy Butler here, especially when you consider what the ownership is. I mean, we've got Butler, we've got Bam, there's not that big of a gap in the ownership between these guys. Like, it'd be one thing if Butler was projected for like 50% ownership and these other guys were like 10, but it's not the case. So Jimmy Butler for me.
Yep, that's exactly it.
All right, that is going to answer all of those questions. One thing we didn't really talk about was potential contrarian utility plays over on FanDuel, Eric. So I just want to make sure that we hit on that really quickly before we wrap up here. And one guy that stands out to me on FanDuel, I know you've already mentioned before, Aaron Gordon, not all that popular on FanDuel. Just want to highlight him one more time. And I'm going to echo sentiments you said. These are words that came from Eric Lindquist before. Aaron Gordon's fantasy scoring is more favorable on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings due to the increase in points and defensive stats. And the other thing, too, is Aaron Gordon just priced down from where he normally would be because he had this stretch where he just didn't really perform all that well. First 3 games against the Lakers, the final game against the Phoenix Suns. But this was a really good fantasy player over the course of the season and a guy who a lot of people thought should have been an all-star. And when we got to the all-star break, we finally saw him play that way in the closeout game against the Lakers. 42.7 FanDuel points. Played 41 minutes, the most he's played in the playoffs, shot 9 of 14 from the field. I like Aaron Gordon to continue his play from the closeout game against the Lakers. So Aaron Gordon, who I know that you liked before, I assume you still like. Anything you want to add about Aaron Gordon or any other potential utility plays we didn't talk about on FanDuel?
You threw that out perfectly. I think other plays for utility, I think it's interesting to try to look at the Max Strus, Duncan Robinson situation at 7K, but it's not like you're going to run into a lot of similar builds there. Again, for those Jokic, Butler kind of combinations, you just kind of are forced into it. I think their minutes are far more secure than anybody else cheaper than them. Haywood Highsmith, Kevin Love, 6,500, Jeff Green. Wild to think Jeff Green's the one I have projected the best out of each one of them over on FanDuel. But then let's give a special shout out to Gabe Vincent again, 8,500. I think finding ways to him in the pro where you have Jokic, Butler, that's something that I would be doing if I were playing at FanDuel today.
Any final thoughts for the slate, Eric? If not, then it is time for us to go.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler, I had talked about him earlier where I was a little bit overweight to him in the captain. I took him completely out. I think that I'm happy to be embracing just as much Jokic up there in the captain spot as possible. I'm going to be really upset if we see like 5% on Jimmy Butler in the captain. I don't think that's going to be the case based on people and enough public money like in that million and other things where I'd be surprised if that ended up being the case. But for sure, the guy that I am shorting the most on this slate is Caleb Martin. I hope he does not screw me.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight. And then, guys, don't forget, a lot of baseball content coming up for the summer. If you've been playing NBA DFS and you're trying to figure out how to dip your toes in the water of baseball, but you're not comfortable with it, you're not familiar, maybe just don't know baseball DFS, check out our new MLB lineup generator package. It is the easiest way for you to build lineups because it's really just going to do it for you. All you do is you select a couple of stack settings, and then it builds out the lineups for you, up to 20 you could upload just directly to FanDuel and to DraftKings. And when you sign up for the first time using our link below, get access to it for less than $5. So go check it out. Other than that, guys, enjoy the game tonight. Good luck. If you didn't do it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. See you tomorrow.